So we are finally back from Thanksgiving break. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, got to spend some time with your families, with your loved ones, maybe reconnect with some people they haven't seen for a while. Unfortunately, tonight, we're not going to be talking about the spoils of Thanksgiving. We got to talk about the box office over the weekend. Some of you may be aware, Disney released a new film called Strange World that had a tremendous flop at the box office. Usually, Thanksgiving weekend, we get tremendous numbers from the box office, but a new Disney film was beat out by Wakanda Forever, which has now been in the box office for 3 weeks. So, not a good sign. We'll talk about why that's happening and the reason why I'm talking about it. Can this have an effect on the AMC squeeze? Is it going to make it impossible if they keep releasing these junk films for us to be able to close out the short thesis? Now, I saw an article this week, and we're going to talk about it after the intro, where James Cameron said that Avatar 2 needs to do $2 billion in revenue just to break even. Now, the good thing about Avatar is it should have a great international box office as well as domestic, but internationally it should do very well. And we'll go look at the numbers from Avatar 1 just to compare and see what we're looking at here. And if we have time before I let you go, I do want to touch on what is going on in China right now. There has not been a lot of talk in the news about it. It's barely been touched on, but the people there are basically in full revolt against the CCCP. They have had enough of the zero COVID policy, and they are fighting back. And the reason why I think it's important that we address it and talk about it, it's going to have some serious ramifications going forward as far as the production and manufacturing for items purchased in the United States, and also with supply chain issues that we could be dealing with for maybe the next year. And that's going to have an overall negative effect on the U.S. economy. So hopefully we'll have time to get into that. But before we do any of that and get way too far ahead of ourselves,
cue the speeder.
This is the way.
So I do want to jump right into this content tonight, but I gotta say, before the video ends, I want to give some shout out to some people out there, some creators, some people in the community who have really supported me in the last couple of years that I'm very thankful for. And with it being Thanksgiving weekend, I want to give them some shout outs. But let's start with the news first and get this out of the way. As you guys know, Bob Iger has replaced Bob Chapek. And as I said in the last video, I'm not as excited as Adam Aaron is per se. He was very excited as he tweeted out that the return of Bob Iger is a great thing for the box office and for Disney. Now, why am I not as enthused as AA is? Comes down to this very matter. November 28, 2022, Disney CEO Bob Iger discusses Don't Say Gay backlash and future of inclusion. Since returning as CEO of the Walt Disney Company last week, Bob Iger wasted no time in holding a town hall with cast members to discuss a wide range of topics, including the Don't Say Gay bill that does not actually include the word gay in it. During an in-person and virtual town hall meeting, one cast member asked Iger where he stood on the company's stance on LGBTQ plus inclusion. Without hesitation, Iger said one of the core values of our storytelling is inclusion and acceptance and tolerance, and we can't lose that. We just can't lose that. Now, I don't know if that's one of the core values of Walter Disney. This is the new Disney, and when I said that Chapek and Iger are two and the same, I meant it. Finishes up here. It says, Iger concluded his response by saying, "At one point I said, we do what we believe is right, and someone criticized me. They said, well, who are you to say what is right? Well, when you're in a job like mine, when you're responsible for the storytelling that many of you are, responsible for you get paid to have a sense of what is right. Not everyone will agree with you. That's just not the way the world is these days, but it doesn't mean you should stop trying to do the right thing. And if doing the right thing is including more movies that are going to come out, and before they're even released, we know they're going to be instantaneous flops, that's a bad sign. So Disney's Strange World, the movie that came out this weekend, received the worst audience score in animation studio history. The film has been a source of controversy in its lead-up to release, as a number of countries banned the film for its on-screen LGBTQIA+ representation. The article goes on, Strange World gets a B grade. Disney's latest blockbuster Strange World received the worst audience score in the studio's storied animation history. The Jake Gyllenhaal, Dennis Quaid, and Gabrielle Union-led film got a B rating from CinemaScore from moviegoers, putting in the same level of films like Amsterdam, Tenet, and Michael Bay's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So in last week's video, when I said that I just see more of the same coming for Disney down the road, I think Bob Iger has pretty much confirmed that with his latest town hall. And do with that information what you will, but I do not think this spells a good economic future for Disney. They're already losing money at the parks, their cruise lines, their hotels. They're having trouble with streaming. They lost $1.5 billion last quarter. If you keep putting out movies like this where people are getting up and walking out in the first 10 minutes because they don't like what they see and what they're hearing, then you need to start listening to your audience more. I don't know what's right or wrong, but you have a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders to not put out junk that you know is going to get badly received and have terrible reviews. Why wouldn't just send this straight to streaming? Because it sends a bad message to the mob, and they probably would have been attacked mercilessly had they put this straight to streaming. So this article from The Wrap came out last week, actually. James Cameron admits Avatar 2 needs to gross $2 billion to break even. The long-awaited sequel to 2009's Avatar represents the worst business case in movie history. The pioneering director recalled telling Disney and 20th Century Studios in an interview with GQ. In order to be profitable, he told studio execs, you have to be the third or fourth highest grossing film in history. That's your threshold. That's your break even. Only 5 movies have crossed the $2 billion mark in history, including 2 made by Cameron. The first, Avatar, about a paraplegic marine, we know what that's about, Pandora, brought in $2.74 billion worldwide during its original release, and netted $2 million more in subsequent airings. The others are Avengers Endgame, Cameron's 1997 Titanic, Star Wars The Force Awakens, and Avengers Infinity War with $2.05 billion. Cameron wouldn't say exactly how expensive the lavish Avatar 2 production was. Very effing, he told the magazine. But like the original, it required a raft of specialized and expensive technology, with GQ noting he and his team had to start all over again despite the technological advancements made from the first Avatar. Because I guess it's being shot mostly underwater, this is like a whole new thing now, and it cost a lot more extra money than it did for the original. But this doesn't have me as scared, I think, as some people think. I don't think it's going to have a problem. As they clearly stated in the article, James Cameron is the $2 billion man. So if anybody can do it, it is him. And I have faith this movie will do that and some. Now, the other article I pulled was from Hypebeast. And this is something that James Cameron was talking about just a little while ago, and how he was expressing his concerns about Avatar 2 losing its relevancy after a decade in between releases. Back in 2009, the original Avatar grossed nearly $3 billion US, and the studio immediately wanted to capitalize on the hype and get a sequel out into theaters as soon as possible. Cameron was adamant in not wanting to rush the sequel, but admitted that waiting to release the second film 13 years after the 2009 mega hit did worry him. Now, I know some of you now, knowing about that $2 billion number, that might be affecting what you think about this movie and how well it's going to produce for AMC and how it's going to help us with the squeeze. But I have no doubt if you can take a movie such as Top Gun, a 40-year-old movie, and make a remake of it and almost cash in on $2 billion during a pandemic, then James Cameron Avatar 2 should easily surpass those numbers and some. And I just totally believe that. And I think people just want a good movie with a good story. They can kick back and relax and not have to worry about politics or someone preaching to them. And I know that's what I'm looking forward to the most. And the time in between the two films really has no effect on me at all. But let me know down in the comments. Do you guys think this is going to be an issue for AMC? Do you think $2 billion is possible? Is James Cameron the man to bring us there? I believe so, but I want to know what you guys think. And actually, as soon as this is uploaded, I'm going to head to the comments to start answering them. All right, we got to move on real quick before we wrap up. I want to talk about what's going on in China. All right, so before I let you go, touching on China, what's going on right now inside the country, because no one's really talking about it, but there are massive protests and walkouts going on across the country. I saw that 2 of the biggest Apple manufacturing plants have shut down, with like 500,000 workers having walked off the campuses. If you add on top of that the interest rate hikes we're having from the Federal Reserve right now, everything that's going on with the disruption from the Russia-Ukraine war that has made our economy extremely vulnerable and really globally has made things very unstable. COVID lockdowns in China have really clogged the supply chains. There's been a manufacturing stalwart extending pandemic-era bottlenecks that have contributed to our inflation. Meanwhile, the zero-COVID policy has stagnated the Chinese economy, hurting spending among Chinese customers and in turn pummeling U.S. companies that depend on it. Now, most of you guys who've been following my channel for a while know that we cannot vax our way out of this COVID thing. It is here to stay. Most likely everyone you or I know that exists right now in the world is going to get it at some point. But this looks like really bad for the CCCP. It's egg on their face if they try now to take a step back and say we're not going to push this anymore. They are just way too proud of a party to now at this point admit they made a mistake, like they did in many other countries, including our own. But this is going to have some major effects, guys, so keep your eyes on China, what's going on there. Remember everything that's manufactured there, everything that's shipped out of there, how many things you know are made in China. And with all of this going on over there, it is going to have repercussions, and we are going to feel them sooner than later. All right, it is getting extremely late, and I do want to say some thanks, though, to some people before I cut out tonight. And if I happen to miss you, I apologize, but I'm doing this off the top of my head. For the creators, I want to send a special thank you to Tony De Niro, Casey Shaw, AMC Bigums, Boss Blunts, Phil For Real, Tendy Time, Pantheon, Common Sense, Scavenger, Super Steven, Frankie Muhammad, Chad Clifford, and say what you will about the Ape Father, but he was the first person that ever shouted me out on a video I did exposing Lou, and I'll always be grateful to him for doing that because it really helped my channel. All the guys who have put out videos or have come onto the channel to talk at one point or another, I just want to say thank you to all of you. I appreciate all the support you've given this channel. To all of the major donors out there, the people who have really pushed the channel, helped me to remain independent, especially when even the last video that I made, they ended up demonetizing it after like 2,000 views. They took it off for no reason. I had to go fight with them to put it back on. It's so crazy, and it's really debilitating because it makes me not want to sit down and do this, because I'm like, if I'm not going to be monetized, what is the point of making these videos? But I know they're important to get the message out and the information out. So to all those people who have donated, and you know who you are, Yucca Frida and MC and Grandpa Barney and Lupe. There's just so many of you, and I really appreciate all that you've done. And to my mods, my girls, I got Liz Clayman and Pam and Adrian, and just there's so many people out there. Rands and Prometheus. Just I really appreciate all the help and time you guys have donated to helping this channel out, and hopefully we are all going to make this worthwhile one day when this stock squeezes. Alright guys, it's getting extremely late. We're going to cut it right there for now. As always, thank you for all the likes, the views, the comments, my new subscribers, my OGs. I appreciate each and every one of you. We are here to break the wheel. This is Ape Nation, I'm the Massalorian, and I'm out.